All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Creator Spotlight. Today, I have the esteemed Carissa Grant from Worthy Comics. Um, and what's kind of funny is it's Worthy Chaos Comics. And of course, I'm a huge Chaos Comics fan, from the 90s, so kind of worked out, um, and so it's kind of funny the way this all started, too, because we were all talking to Tom Hutchinson and Carissa came reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to come on here?" And I said, "For sure," because I love having anybody new, anybody that wants to come out and hang out and have a good time. So just to kind of get started, where are you at? Where are you from? And what, of course, got you into comic books?
So I am currently in Tennessee. I was born in New York. I know those are two completely different places, and yes, it was a huge culture shock moving here. I moved here about seven years ago, um, and what got me into comics was my older brother. He took me to a comic book store. He was like not a typical brother. Like he wanted to drag his little sister. He had tons of friends, so don't ask me why, but he would just drag his little sister everywhere. And I was kind of like, where are we going? Why are we doing this? And whatever. But at the comic book store, I fell in love with Ghost Rider.
Mm.
And I think I went through my Ghost Riders yesterday because I haven't touched them since the 90s. So I have like, I think issue 7 on, and then I had like the Spirits of Vengeance, and I had some original with Johnny Blaze and all that stuff. So it was Ghost Rider that really got me into comics. Um, what got me into horror, or the first taste of horror, was Hi Dawn. She's my cheerleading squad. She follows me wherever I go.
Hi, Don.
Yeah, I don't pay her enough. So the first taste of any horror, which of course is now my favorite movie, was when I was 6, and my brother was watching TV, and I was watching from he didn't know from the stairs, and it was Nightmare on Elm Street 3 with the marionette with
Oh
the hair.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was my first taste of horror, and I thought it was fascinated. I was like, that is the coolest looking thing ever. And then the next time it was Cujo, and I was great with Cujo until I went to a park and saw a giant Saint Bernard that was just muddy and snarling and running around like a nut, and I left. And I was like, I'm done with parks. Um, and I'm ironically like a dog groomer now, so I got over it. But yeah, so that was my two horror. But what got me into the writing the horror was Resident Evil 2, the first
Mm.
version. Um, and we it started really stupidly, and I can't even explain how or why this affected me. But there was a commercial for Resident Evil 2 where a crocodile comes out and tries to attack Leon,
Hmm.
and that was the only part of the commercial I remember. And I went and told my mom I need PlayStation. I didn't even have the PlayStation. I was like, I need PlayStation. I used to play Atari when I was a kid, but that was about it. I was like, I need PlayStation, and she's like, okay. So like I went out and got like I either used birthday or future Christmas. I was like, I need this thing now. So we went, we bought it, and she wouldn't buy me the game. And she's like, well, you got to rent it first. You might hate it, blah, blah, blah. So we rented the game. There's no instructions. And poor Leon just kept walking into the fire. I could not get him to walk. And so I threw the controller, and my brother walks in and takes the controller and starts playing like there's nothing because he's been playing Zelda and Nintendo all his life. So I yelled at him to get out, and then I played for like 6 hours straight. And then we went out and bought, I think we went to GameStop from what I remember, and I got Resident Evil 2 and Final Fantasy 7, and those, I don't know why those two, I just got those. And then I played Resident Evil, and I was so mad that there's an auto aim that I didn't know about.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I was like, that is so much easier. You walk in a room, and you auto aim, and it tells you where it is. So I beat it without it, so I guess I get street cred for that one. Um, and then how that related into writing was I saw Stay Alive, the horror movie.
Yeah.
And I came home, and I always like to research the true elements of the horror movie. So I was looking up Elizabeth Bath and whatever. And Dating Me Again is MySpace. And it
Oh
came
yeah.
these people role playing, and I was like, honestly, they probably thought I was mentally challenged because I was like, is that legal? Like, isn't there a copyright? You're using the pictures of these, the from the movie and all this. Like, she's like, no, you pick a character you want to be and you start writing it. And I was like, all right. So I'm looking around my room, and I had like a huge cutout of Leon from Resident Evil 4, and I was like, I'm gonna play Claire. So
Uh,
I became Claire, which I wound up playing for 15 years. But being dyslexic, it was very hard at first. I started as a one-liner for 2 years, then para, then multi-para, and then I thought I could never do Novelare ever. And somebody kind of walked me through it, and now my replies are like, it used to be, I think, a real challenge was 300 words, and now it's about 3 to 6,000 words for in no time. So I think I got better.
yeah, you did.
um, but yeah, and role playing is how I came up with this story. I had a role for a character that I wanted, and I role played with a lot of amazing writers. So I feel bad saying this, but I kept this role because no one seemed to. I don't know. I role played with some people for 2 to 5 years, and there was never this spark that I just didn't feel it was right. And I met my co-writer that I have now, Jessica, and like the day I met her, I was like, do you want this role I've been holding on to for 15 years? And she's like, I don't normally take roles, but yeah, I'll take the role. And in 5 years we wrote 11 novels, about 90 to 100,000 words each, and 5 of those novels is this series one. And we're converting them, or I'm converting them into scripts now as we go. So uh we've got like 40, 80 issues written total, but 40 for this series. So it's a long series.
Dang. Well, and ironically, that's not surprising because I hear that actually a lot.
Yeah,
Because
good.
people actually plan out, a whole series. Like, I'm reading Redemption, that you sent me. I read through that first issue, and so we're on issue 4 as
Hmm.
far as the Kickstarter goes, but a lot of people have them forever. Like you've got it mapped out, from A to Z,
Yeah.
and by issue 40 you could be done, you know.
Yeah.
But the catch 22 is getting from here to that 40,
Yep.
and so we're all thankful for Kickstarters now because of that reason.
Yeah.
Because in the
It's
old
not gonna work.
days it didn't work that way with independence. It's like, and I'm dating myself, so I've been reading comics since the 80s, so that
Yeah.
tells you
Yeah.
how old I am. But the 90s was the big era for me because Chaos came out, Dark Horse was out, all the independents were out, started. But back then, you still had to deal with Diamond. You still had to deal with all the other publishers that's out there trying to get your books published out. Whereas today, all I need to do is find a printer, have the
Yeah.
funds I need, have the good writers, and have the good artists, to support you in your endeavor. And then you can push it through Kickstarter and get your book funded. So what it's doing is it's making a lot of dreams come true for people
Oh
that
yeah.
really want to have their story go out and be able to
Yep.
see it.
This would be
Um,
stick figures if I didn't have Kickstarter.
oh yes.
Yeah.
I mean, and the funny part too is I've read like stories, like J.P. Roth, from Rothic Comics. So she writes novels as well as she writes comic books, and a lot of the comics are partially from the novels, but they're illustrated, with like Don McTeague or Mike Crome or whoever to make it more visually appealing. But you can still always go back to the novel side and read it if you want to,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm kind of seeing too is some writers are taking and doing dual formats. Like they'll put out the novel version and then they'll put out the comic version. The comic typically sells better because people that can see things usually will buy it faster. But at the same time, if you want that whole story, you can buy it via the novel side.
Yeah. I've been asked if I was gonna publish the novels, and they will unfortunately never be published. I mean, someone could read them if they wanted to, but we actually had thought about publishing them at first because it was already written and the story was so good we didn't want to waste it, and we hadn't thought about comic books yet, and we had gotten an editor, and because it's written in role play format, there was no way to release them. She's like, you would have to merge them together
Hmm.
and we would lose a lot. And we decided we would rather make no money off of it than destroying the story. So I said, okay, never mind. I'll just print them on like lulu.com. I'll make us a cover and we'll have 5 books. And, we hadn't done the other 5 yet. So I went and I was looking for artists just to do the cover. And I think I was on Upwork. Yeah, Upwork.com, or not Fiverr, so it had to be Upwork. And they were all kind of cartoony. And I said, these are really kind of cartoony. And when we role playing, you use actors' pictures. So I was like, do you want cartoony? Do you want realistic? It's just for us. It doesn't matter about, copywriting or whatever. She's like, cartoony's fine. And I was like, if you don't mind cartoony, we could do a comic book. She's like, yeah, we could do a comic book. And then I literally went out that day and got an artist. And then I went home and I was like in bed writing her. And I said, I don't know how to do a script. So the next day I woke up and watched YouTube videos and sat down and I wrote out an entire script. And then when I sent it to my letter, and my letter is like, would you like to see any of the art, or did you just want to have all the dialogue? And I was like, oh. So my one script turned into two scripts because I needed, when you're writing, I would say that's the hardest part, going from novel to a comic book, was dialogue. Like I had to shorten the dialogue and all that fun stuff. And that was new because I was like, how much can they say in one panel, or how much is too much? We did, however, which I didn't realize, I've been yelled at by only one person and they were looking for money anyway, so I'm okay with it. But my characters think a lot. We have thought bubbles a lot. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think anything of it. Some of the people absolutely loved it. They thought it was the coolest thing because when you read a novel, the best part is getting inside their head, and here you're getting inside their head while you're reading the comic book. This guy said, thought bubbles are so old school, comics, don't use them. And I was like, yeah, no, it's not going to happen. That's like half our book.
Yeah.
So especially Draven, because, Draven's an angel descendant. I mean, a demon descendant, and he's kind of always grumpy, and he thinks more than he talks, I mean, he can't express his feelings. He can't express his thoughts. So he thinks a lot. And Seraphina, she's the angel descendant. She thinks too, but is, I don't know, 1/8 of what he thinks. So, and there's sometimes where they don't think at all. And then there's sometimes where it's all him thinking. And, so it's a little bit different. We do have a lot of thought bubbles and all that stuff, but I like it. I like getting inside their heads and stuff. So, that's why they're called chapters, not issues. We're kind of hinting that it was meant to be a novel. And to be honest, I really haven't cut out that much. I think I cut out 2 scenes from the book, and I'm just going to save them for later. But generally, I put everything in there. So so far so good. I think I'm on script. I just started script 16, and I'm on page 10. But I have to say, so book 15 is, issue 15 is book 3. And book 3 is all Resident Evil. That's like in completely the Resident Evil theme. They're trapped in a zombie-infested city. There's lab monsters that were technically created from their blood that are just running around. Anubis takes the place of Nemesis and Mr. X, where he's just kind of stalking them and following them. And usually when I do a script, it's about 10,000 words per issue. So I looked today and I'm only 1,000 words into the 10,000, and I'm on page like 11. So it might be more issues than I have it separated as 10 issues, but I'm thinking it's going to be more like 12. We'll have to see, which sucks because I already have all my endings where I want them. So now I'm like, I'm not going to do this, but my pages fluctuate from 28 to 36 depending on where I want the story to end on that particular issue. I think issue 7 is like 46 pages because it was the last one and I didn't want to go more. So that's like a double issue for the same price. So people like that.
Oh, I do. I mean, like for example, like I'm a huge Coffin comics fan. So they usually do kind of like a graphic novel whenever they do a release, so it makes it a lot easier. You get a full story. Henceforth, when it goes to the LCS, they break it into 2 issues, to get the story. So I'm all about getting reading and seeing more for what I pay for.
Well, so issue 7 releases October 3rd Kickstarter, but we're also releasing all 7 together at the same time, the same Kickstarter, as a graphic novel. And it's 236 pages. So, but people have the choice of getting that or, getting the individual issues too, or whatever. And our cover for our graphic novel. Speaking of Coffin Comics and Chaos Comics, well, CC Dela Cruz does the interior art for Lady Death Universe, and she's our colorist for the cover you saw in 4, and she's going to color that one too. And Ken Hunt is from DC is also going to create that one. He's starting working on it now because I didn't feel like waiting. And he's making it like I haven't seen the sketch yet. I just sent him pictures of all the characters. And he's doing it like a movie poster. So I'm like super excited to see like all the characters on there, and I get to keep the original, which I'm always excited for. I won't let anyone do a hand drawn one if I can't keep the original, which has pissed off like 3 artists. I'm like, I'm paying for the commission to have the art. I don't want anyone else to have my art, and they don't seem to get that. But Ken Hunt and I kind of argued about it, and then finally he relented and told it to me. But someone else wanted to buy that one for like $500. The cover you saw, they wanted the original.
Yeah.
So I actually bought it for my co-writer because she saw it and it was like I'd never seen her reaction to any picture ever than that one. But she absolutely was floored by it. So she's keeping the original, and I'm keeping the original of the next one because it's gonna have every character, and I'm like super excited to see it. So I can't wait to see that. But I can't wait to see anything. I mean, every day I get 2 pages, and it's still not enough. Like I already got the issue 5 cover. Did I show you that? I don't know if I showed you that.
No, you haven't showed it to me yet.
I'll have to show you later. It has a jealous Seraphina on it because there's a sexy vampire. Like she has her hand on Draven. So she's like about to chop her head off. So it's actually really good. But yeah, our artist is like super fast. You know, I get to about 2 to 3 pages a day, mostly 2. And then he colors them at the end, and it takes him like 2 weeks to color them all. And then on to the next one. So we're already 6 pages in the cover to issue 5, and issue 4 just got released. So we're quick.
Yeah. Well, that's good though, because I mean, what that shows, you know, like for like if you know, like I'm a new buyer for your book, of course, but is that it shows that you're already done. You know, you're just waiting to print, and when you get to that stage, because there's some Kickstarters that are, you know, hey, we're still, you know, in the thralls of getting it done. It's going to take, you know, 7 months, 8 months to get it done before you actually see the book, what you paid for. So by the time you get the book, like, oh yeah, I remember I paid for that a long time ago.
No, I've already ordered 25 printed ones just to see how they look. And as soon as Kickstarter ends, I order them with 7-day print. So everyone usually gets them within 2 to 3 weeks after we end. The first 25 probably get it a lot sooner because I have the 25. But the first Kickstarter, I had an issue with the printer. That's why I'm doing I did the 14-day plus, and it took 4 months. So I'm like, I'll pay the extra $50 and do a 6-day print so that I can argue it when you don't send it to me. So I get them a lot faster now. So they're actually in the mail now, so I should see them soon and see how that goes. I'm excited. Every time I get one in print, I mean, they're gorgeous. Not to toot our own home, but it's 80-pound, 80-pound glossy pages. I mean, they look phenomenal, and like, my artist's art everyone's like, oh, you could just do newsprint. And I was like, no, it looks so freaking fabulous. And, you know, with the glossy and everything. And I don't know. I like it. So yes, I could save a bunch of money. But no, I don't care.
Well, and that goes a long way for the appreciation of the fans, because like I've got stuff that looks like it got printed off of a printer at home, you know, from a Kickstarter, and it's because of the quality of what was printed, you know, and it's and sometimes it's not even the person that's running the Kickstarter's fault; it's the printer itself. Like the printer wasn't doing what it was supposed to do, and so, you know, instead of taking the time getting it sent back to the printer, get it done right, and then have it sent out, they just sent it out anyways, just to have it done, and that gives people kind of a bad taste in their mouth. They won't come back, you know.
Yeah, so the thing about this story is we're obviously incredibly passionate about the story, and I am very obsessed with it. And I don't know if you know, I originally had a different artist who had issue 1. Did I tell you this?
Yeah,
I don't
you were
think.
saying something
Yeah.
about that.
So I pretty much threw away. They stole $3,000, and then I tried to fix it for another $2,000, and it didn't work out. And I did try. I put it on Kickstarter, and people bought it. Small amount. I didn't really advertise. I didn't even know podcasts were a thing. And everyone was fine with it. And I went on and I got a new artist for 2. But my new artist was so good, and it was like I hated that he didn't do 1. And I asked like 15 to 20 people, like, should I redo 1? And they're like, no, 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 everyone switches artists. Don't worry about it. And I kept pushing it off, pushing it off. And finally, when my artist finished issue 3, I was like, you have to redo 1. And I had to convince my husband because he's like, how much did the first one cost? I was like, $5,000. He's like, and how much does this one cost? I was like, less than $5,000. So my artist redid it, and it just looks so much better, and it's more uniformed, and the characters look like how I've always pictured the characters to be. So yeah, we definitely have a lot of love for because we want people to love it, but we love it, so we kind of want it to be, we're picky. We're very picky on it.
We are picky.
Yeah, yeah, and so you should be. So we love it, and he's doing such a phenomenal job. And I almost didn't even hire him at first. When I first was searching, I spent thousands looking for an artist, and some of them were amazing, and some of them obviously scammed me with sample arts, because they did not look like anything of it. But even if they were good, they did not look how we pictured our characters in our head. And I think at the point that I finally found him after my last artist left or whatever, I had posted part of my story, and I said, does anyone want to be a part of this? Obviously, I will pay for it, but how it's going to go is I want sample pages, so if anyone wants to do it, it would be a free page, and then I pay you for it if I use it. And then it's like a 40 issue thing. So and surprisingly, I got a ton of people, because I didn't really want to scam anybody, but I was so tired of looking at bad art and paying for it, and mostly being scammed out of it. So 5 people applied, and they said, yeah, we'll work on it. So they worked on it from a page from the script, and he came on with those 5 people working on it. And he said, are you taking any more submissions? And I said, this is how it's going to go. I'm waiting for those 5. So if you want to hand in a free page, I will look at it now. If you don't, I'll look at those 5. If I don't accept them, I will pay you to do a page, and he goes, I'll do a free one. And he did, and it was phenomenal. So I paid the other ones anyway, and then he just went and started. I'm like, you're hired. Like, I was like, I know you did, and he lettered it and everything. Like, he did everything. He colored it, he lettered it, because there was no requirements. I mean, they could sketch it. I was like, it's all, they would ask, should it be colored or inked? I was like, it's up to you, because you're doing a free page. So if you want to put more work into it, I'm not going to judge it anymore. I'm mostly looking on how the characters look. I need to see the characters' faces. But he did a phenomenal job. And at first we were going to use that page, but I actually had him redo it because I made it into 2 pages. But yeah, he was hired, and we butt heads right away. Like, horribly bad. Like, my husband's like, you need a different artist. It's like, no, this is the artist, and we have to figure it out. It just, he had a vision and I had a vision, and I was used to giving my script to the artist and them just following these panels that I did, and that was it. I didn't ever got a question or asked or anything. But he has this very unique way of doing panels. He's got very action sequences. I think you saw some of the samples. Yeah. And I didn't understand it at first. So halfway through, I was like, we have to compromise, because you're obviously the artist for the team. I just need to figure out how to make this work where we're not butting heads. And finally, I just relented, and I cut the script kind of in half again. And I went from 4 to 6 panels to 3 to 4. And it worked so much better, because he turns those 4 panels into like 8, depending on what he needs. And it gives him more room to do the art. And instantly, that was it. We never butt heads again. And it was just perfect. And by script 3, he's like, or by issue 3, he's like, I know these characters now. He had it like down packed. He knew every expression. He knew their personalities. And he got just as addicted as we were. So he's a really big part of the team. And I know a lot of people say, oh yeah, that part of the team. No, my artist went on vacation for a month, and I swore I wouldn't bother him. My husband said, don't bother him. So I didn't bother him. I didn't message him or anything. And two weeks in, it was killing us, not getting pages with withdrawal galore. and he messages us out of nowhere, and he's just like, just so you know, I really miss drawing this, and I can't wait till my vacation's over. And I was like, enjoy your vacation, we get the hell home. And the day he came home, he did like 3 pages. He was so excited to do it. So yes, I pay him, and yes, he's you know hired, but he's absolutely a part of the team. And every time something something happens to my poor characters because we torture them, he's like, "Are they going to be okay?" It's like, yes, there's 40 issues. They'll be fine. It just takes a lot to get there. And then I told him about one today. He's like, really? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So he's completely in love with our characters just as much as we are. So, and it's nice to have someone like that. So,
And does he have like a good idea? Like, all right, how far is this going to go? Like, okay, I'm drawing, like, say I'm drawing issue 3 or 4 today, but he's already knows like what's going to happen in 5, 6, and 7, so he can already start planning out. Or is it, you finish the issue, then he gets the script for the next book?
um, he finishes the issue and then he gets the next one. He could, but he's never asked, and I think it would just confuse him more to just, sometimes I'll say something like, this is going to eventually happen, so we should, plan this. And I think today we talked about the end of book 2 because it's a huge, 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 huge deal in book 2, and it changes like the whole momentum of the story. And I was kind of talking to him about it, and then he tells me I spoiled it. I was like, "You're the artist. You're supposed to know what happens." And then he's like, "Are they going to be okay?" And he gets very emotional. But yeah, there's 40 issues, and he's agreed to do both the 40 issues and hopefully the spinoff. I know he can't always be this fast because he's getting more work, and he's not allowed to leave or I'll hunt him down. But I have to come to the realization that he probably won't always be this fast. So we're trying to get at least a month ahead in case he does get more work. We're kind of always every other month, sort of thing. So hopefully that works out. But yeah, I'm gonna be happy for him when he gets more work, but it's gonna also be harder to wait longer for our pages. But yeah.
And that happens to a lot of people I know, because they start working and they keep pushing through, and then they get hired by multiple companies, so they're doing multiple covers, and they're doing. Uh, and the thing is he's doing sequential art, which is different than just doing covers. So
Right.
that so it takes a lot longer to do that. Making sure that it's done properly and the way the story flows with the art, and then the covers will sell the book typically. The covers are great for that. Like you got Ken doing it this month for number 4, and I've got a ton of Ken's books, but they're all independent. None of them are DC. Like
Yeah.
I've got all of his Lady Death stuff, and I've got some other stuff of his. I'm like, and when I saw he was going to come over to, I'm like, all right, this is awesome. And then I saw Fernando Cordero was going to be on part of it, and
Yep.
I look at his stuff over from Atrocity side, with Mary Machine Gun.
Yeah.
Um,
We kind of like to rotate the artists. I like to keep all the same artists and kind of rotate them. Like, did you see Ian Chase Nicholas's
yep.
cover? Yeah, he's doing issue 6. He's doing a wraparound Vampire Swarm, and he's going to do at least 2 in book. Both Fabio, Fernando, Kent, and Ian will do at least 2 covers in book 2, and probably at least 3 in book 3 because I don't know how many are going to be in there. But yeah, I like Kent Hunt for the graphic novel cover. He'll probably always do those because it's just such an important book for us to have those all together. But yeah, they're all phenomenal artists. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous. And I have somebody else working on one. I don't know if you know who. I think it's John Watson. I don't know if that's who I'm thinking of, but he's starting it. He hasn't started it yet, but he's going to have it done. But what he's doing is he's sketching it by hand, and then he's watercoloring over it.
Hmm.
And so he's going to be doing my 2 characters and Anubis, because everyone loves doing Anubis. Every artist, I have this whole list of monsters, and they have to share because I don't like to copy really or duplicate. I mean, so they have to generally share. But they almost always choose Anubis if that's one of the choices. But they're gonna have to share, and he is in it more later. He actually joins their side. which will make people happy because they're all like, Anubis isn't supposed to be bad. I was like, he's not bad. He's being controlled. Just relax. He'll be fine. And now, I mean, I don't know if you saw the pages. He's playing fetch with a hellhound, so
Yeah.
you could see he's got some personality there. But he does come out and he eventually fights on their side, and in series 2 he's in it a ton more. He's in it with his whole army of mummies, because heaven and hell go to war together against my two characters. So we have Anubis and his army of mummies, and then you have Hades and Hecate with their army of zombies, which does not make my supernatural hunter character happy because she's
No.
got all these monsters all around her. And then we have heaven and hell and part of the Celtic religion, because that's where her mom's from, fighting against her. So Anubis is going to be like, he doesn't ever talk. He just growls, and he talks less than a Groot. So I think Hecate is the only one that can really understand him. And I think Seraphina is really the only one besides Anubis that can understand the Hellhound, kind of understand him. So we've got those in the in this series, and they're in the spinoff too. Anubis isn't in the spinoff at all. He's in the spinoff series 2 in the war, but not in the first one. But that's getting way ahead. But yeah, so he's in a lot more coming up. But now he's kind of just like following along, and now he has the Hellhound following along with him. So this poor little Hellhound's just going to carry the stick and follow him along, and until the angel's going to use him against Anubis to control him even more. So, which is really fun to write, And I was just writing Anubis in the zombies, and I was going to have him like attack him with a staff. And then I was like, oh, wait. And he just like holds up the staff, and like the zombies just move out of the way because he controls the dead. So it was like this cool, and that's going to be a cover. I'm like dying. Now that I was like, now I got to see it as this cover of this wave of zombies just moving out of the way for him. So I want to see everything now.
Yeah, he's gonna be like Moses parting the sea.
Yes.
Just a sea of zombies.
That's exactly how I pictured it. Yeah.
Well, let's go on and show what the number 4 looks like. So let's see here. Present. And we're going to do that one. Okay. So this is the current Kickstarter that we've got today. This is number 4, which just launched this week.
Tuesday, yeah. 3 days ago? Yeah.
Yeah, 3 days ago. So, and as of today, you have 1,561, 45 backers, and 24 days to go. And it looks like we're closing out on the 16th, which is good. So, let me make a recommendation. This is to anybody doing a Kickstarter. Have it end around the 1st or the 15th, because that's when most people get paid.
A good bonus.
Because most people are like, when it comes in the middle, you're like, oh yeah, that's gonna hurt.
Yes, I can definitely see that. Yeah, I chose that on a day I'm off because the last one, I didn't know you're supposed to have closeout shows. I don't really know what I'm doing half the time. And then Lori, who does Path of the Pale Rider, who just finished hers.
Yep.
And she's amazing. But she's like, you need to close it, like have it like a launch party. You have to have a closing. I was like, I didn't know this. So she actually had one without me last time. So this time I did one on the day I was off. So it was 28 days instead of 30 days, but at least I'm there for that. So we're gonna close out on her show just like we launched on her show. So
yeah, she's good. I got her. I got hers. I did the William Russell cover because I know William. So
yeah.
that's I tell William, all right, I'll grab yours, and I follow Charter Comics anyways. With William because
great.
of Ferryman and everything. Richard DeRees, Orphan Bloodline. So all that. So what I like too is that Charter is local to me here because I live in Texas. I live right next to Fort Worth, so I can just go to Chris's shop. And he runs a convention called Cowtown Comic Con, which he tries to bring everybody he can out to it, which is nice. I'm hoping this time Ken Salinas, I can actually catch up with him this time because I had a whole stack of books for Ken to sign last time and I couldn't find them because he was just so busy between him and Chris and McLean. So they were all so busy. So I'm like, All right, sit down. I'm gonna sit you guys down this time.
I'm supposed to
Um,
go to Texas next year, so we'll see. I was supposed to stay with Lori, and I was going to go to one of the conventions or Horror Fest. We'll see. But there's the cover that everyone loves.
it is.
Yeah, he got the most likes on his Facebook that I've ever seen him ever get for that cover, and I got the most likes when I posted it on Twitter. And I don't, I mean, I think I got like 600 something likes, and everyone loves it. So
Well, and it's Ken and it's CC De La Cruz. And
yeah,
everybody knows CC. Everybody knows Ken. So it makes it fun to do that. But
absolutely.
but like for me, I always, if I can pick multiple covers, I always will.
Yeah,
So, and usually what I do is like I always get the cover A because I'm always a cover A guy. So I want to support the initial regular cover, and
yeah,
then some variants on. So like, and I saw Fabio was going to do this one, so I was like, all
yep.
right, that's going to be awesome.
He
And
does.
then I saw,
He does one in issue 5 too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then Fernando's there, and I've known Fernando for a long time, so I was like, all right, this works out great.
I love how Fabio does our characters. I'm so picky with them, and he does them so. I have the originals right here staring at me. They're both gorgeous. I do 2 at once, so I save on shipping because shipping is like $50 from Brazil. So it's like I just do 2 at once, and he's doing. I'm gonna send him to do the 2 for book 2 probably in a couple months. So, and this is the regular cover for the. It's actually an homage to Supernatural for anyone who watches Supernatural.
Yep.
And there's the car, and that's the license plate is Dean's birthday. For anyone that knows
Uh-huh.
the show.
All you need now is Kansas to play in the background.
Yeah, I was gonna do that, but I wound up not doing it. But yeah, it should have the Kansas one. Yeah, and this is our warning.
Exactly. So if you're on my channel, you already know that we do anything on my channel. So you know that I'm a horror freak. So this is right on my alley. Well, and like one of my favorite movies of all time is An American Werewolf in London.
Nice.
So I'm like, okay. When I saw, hey, this kind of stuff, I'm like, this is gonna be a fun book to read. Um, and then we've got the preview of the inside, and I do like how, like, I've noticed in this in the first book too. You always have your sigil,
Mhm.
from um, from chaos and that. So I
Yeah,
kind of
the
like
worthy.
that. I like how it's an essential piece to it, sort of like how Smiley was, in Chaos Comics with Evil Ernie. He was always around. There's always something about it.
Yep, absolutely. I have a print of that. I love that picture of them together.
And it's an interesting story, people, too, because I mean, it's like I've only read through issue one, so I'm only one issue in. But see, it was kind of playing on me a bit because like I was because it was like you had the initial part where they were younger teenagers, and
Mhm.
then you had the adult piece, where they come back together and like I haven't seen you in 10 years and we just magically show up, together. I'm like, okay, so there's some supernatural pieces to that, which is good because I like that kind of stuff. But then you kind of read about Lucas, the brother. He's completely possessed. So Draven's trying to find Lucas, and then they see all these ghosts, and then sitting at the courtyard. And I just thought it was kind of funny. It was like a supernatural moment because it was like, okay, they can't come through because it's wrought iron. Okay. And he said, well, what about they jump over the fence? He said, don't give them ideas. See, it's like, it would be like a banter like Dean and Sam would have
Yep,
had.
I love that.
You
That's my favorite little conversation between the two of them. And he's like, "Really?" She's like, "No, not really."
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I really like that scene. They did really well on that one. And yeah, it's a little tricky with the whole flashback thing. Um, the If you notice, the angel kind of tricks her into going to town,
Hmm.
and some people might not catch it. The TV's unplugged, so it's a hint that the angel actually made the broadcast to get her to go. And then when she enters town, it sets off the angelic keychain that he's got, and that's why he dreams about her. And her entering town, it merges the whole town with hell. So you get like that Silent Hill kind of, with the
Hmm.
hellhounds and the zombie and Anubis popping out and all that stuff. So yeah, it's very Silent Hillish and all that stuff. But yeah, And there's their car, of course.
Yep, you gotta have it. You
Gotta
gotta
have-
have
I
the
love that he's stealing it from a bar, though. And there's
oh
Sarah
yeah,
being a kick-ass fighter. Yeah, he draws fight scenes really well. And there's our
yeah,
Hellhound playing fetch.
yep. He's playing it, and you got
Yeah.
the angel in the background, and there's Anubis.
Yeah. I love Anubis. He's adorable there. And then we have way too many rewards, but we are merch people. We love our merch.
Now, I will say I appreciate that because sometimes, like the stretch goals versus what you can just buy as an add-on.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's easier just to buy it, then you hope and pray you get to that stretch goal, you get that thing.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think almost all the rewards you can buy as an add-on. So if someone wants the lower tier, but they want a button or a sticker, they can just pick it up. You don't have to get a higher tier, which people have advised me against. But if you want it, I don't want someone to have to get stuff they don't want. Get what you want.
yeah,
Yeah. And I love this Chibi Anubis. We call him the cute angry Anubis. He's adorable. And then you have the button. That's Ian Chase Nichols' cover from the issue 2 variant.
yeah, and that's the thing is like I saw this one that made me think old school '80s. As
Yep.
soon as I saw that, it's like Barry Windsor Smith, like a George Perez kind of work. Like I love that old style.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I don't tell any of the artists. I tell mine every detail, but these artists, the variants, I just let them do whatever they want, so they can get all the credit for the scene. I prefer they have freedom. Mostly, I don't want to think about it, but
Yep.
they like the freedom to have it. So, and they do amazing. Like Ken Hunt, I said do Anubis, and he did it perfect. So, it looked
Yeah.
gorgeous. And there it is again. We
Yeah.
have the metal. That's the metal print there. It's not the actual picture. They're in the mail, so I'm going to switch it out when it comes. So it does have rounded, I just got the
Rounded
proof
corner.
today. Yeah, it has rounded corners so you people don't kill yourselves. But, but yeah, I've never seen a metal print, so I just got the proof today in the email and I approved it. So they should be here in like a week, I think. And there's
Yeah.
the 2 bookmarks. It's actually white aluminum with black overlay, and then it's copper aluminum with the color overlay. So
Okay.
I'm excited to see those.
I love bookmarks, like especially metal ones,
Yeah.
because it's nice. And then here's the wood print, which I will say I've not seen anybody do this other than Coffin. So
Yeah.
and then Coffin does their coins, their little like wooden nickel kind of thing. And I think Monty from Maverick Arts does it sometimes.
I'm
But
actually going to have clay coins. I just bought Anubis stamps to stamp into them, and they're going to be painted gold, and I'm going to have wax 2 coins made, so it's got a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, there's the video if you want to see the wood car. It's wood laser etched wood. It's gorgeous. I just got them in the mail, and they're just gorgeous. And this was a last minute thing. Timothy Fling gave me the idea, and he said, call them up. And it was like this past Friday. And I was like, listen, I need a picture for my Kickstarter on Tuesday. And they're like, all right. And they sent it to me Monday. And I was like, yes, let's do it. And here's the 3D I have here. It's a 3D printed Anubis. This is the I don't want to say old fashioned one, but this is the actual plastic, filament that just goes around. And it's about 6 inches. So it's pretty big. And then the one below that's resin printed. And you can paint them or you can leave them white. I think I'm going to paint some of them for the next one and see what they look like. Cause I used to paint a lot. So we'll see how that looks.
see, I like this. This would go good with my Death Dealer.
Yeah. Yeah. I found that last minute too. And I love the way they look. So, and these are the pillows. I have the pillows here. They're about a foot long and very soft, and the colors look really good. Like someone's like, is it a transfer? And I don't think it is because there's no overlay to it. And they're 2-sided. I think they're like literally printed on it because there's no transfer to it, but I don't really know. And someone else I gave it to says it doesn't look like a transfer either, but the colors look amazing in person.
Yeah, 'cause the hard thing with pillows is that most of the time when they do a transfer, you get that little edge, like
Yeah,
where it's been like ironed onto it.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know why that they or I don't know how they did it, but it looks good. So I have a 3 foot one for me. I love it. I can't. I just yeah. I love so I have plushies here. I got everything. I got so much merch. But yeah, that's the angry cute Anubis. And there's my plushie, my emotional
You-
support Anubis. Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, these are handmade. A friend makes them, and I met her at a con, and I was like, "Oh, you need to make my plushies." And she's made tons of them. I have like I think 6 right here next to me. So, and another friend of mine made these. They're clay handmade statues. That one's about 8 inches tall, and it's gorgeous. I have one. I only had 2 made. And then this is a pound of clay. It's very
Oh
heavy.
man,
And those will never be made again because my artist absolutely hates doing people, and I had to pull his teeth to do that. So that'll be the last one ever made. And then we have the Anubis with the metal staff, which is I think 11 inches. It should 11
yeah, it's
inches.
11.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the
See,
details amazing. Yeah,
like that's up my alley. That's the kind of stuff because I collect statues as well,
yeah,
especially the old school like more Clayton Moore,
yeah,
collectibles, and then all the Eternal Toys stuff, all the old stuff.
yeah. I love that stuff.
All right, and there we go. There's the add-on issues,
Yeah,
which
and any can be added on. I mean, you can add the PDFs. You can add the old issues. We have an issue 1 signed by both of the creators, me and my co-writer, and there's only 24 left of those because I had to drive to her to get them. So we just did 25 of those, and one was bought. And then these little explanations here, the little background. And then there's the add-ons after this, I believe, or
yeah,
stretch goals, one of the other ones, but
yeah,
stretch goals.
stretch
So now
goals.
we did get this stretch goal,
Yep.
and it's 16 PDFs. So if someone pays $5 for either issue 1 or issue 4, not only do they get the 2 PDFs that come with the $5 because we give you the colored and the black and white version.
Hmm.
They also will get these 16. So for $5, you essentially get 18 PDFs. So
Which is phenomenal because like Orphan Bloodline from Charter, Path of the Pale Rider,
PTSD. Oh, it
the
used to be there. There's Night Wolf, which is number 7 is on now. It's
yep.
live. It went live on Wednesday, and yeah, that's. I mean, he's got already. I think as of yesterday, he had 277 backers. So that's that book's good. So
Yep, and I've got it on my list to to back that one too.
yeah, I mean, Rob is awesome. And then we're almost to this. This is the bookmark, which we got here, which is also my banner in the background. And I think don't ask me to do math in my head, but 200 and something away from that one. So we're almost to that too. So hopefully we'll reach that.
I want to see that one. There's that.
And then this is the other stretch goal, which it's actually an older artist that I had this done last year, and I just never did anything with it. It is the prequel where they met, and that's 28 pages. And that one's not glossy because it has the retro feel to it. But this is a PDF anyway. But when I do print it, it'll have the newsprint because it's just that kind of drawing.
Mm.
And we're eventually going to do the PDF. We're eventually going to redo it with my artist because we have 3 series. We have Damnation, which is that one, which it actually will eventually be 5 books. 1 book's already written, but it goes all the way back to where the fathers met and how she was created and all that stuff.
Mm.
And then we have the spinoff, which is already done, series 1, and this series 1 is obviously done. So, and there's a little rat Apollo, which is a plushie.
I like that.
Yeah. He's a plushie you can get in the add-ons. And then this is the original Ken Hunt, which is you get the trading card here, but you can buy the glossy print in add-ons too, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, just the little details and the line work is just so phenomenal.
And that's what I saw when I saw the little hash mark, the hatching that he did over here on the wall just to give it like a darker shadow, a lighter shadow. Now there's the spotlight, and
It's
on
awesome.
him.
It looks just phenomenal. I can't wait to get the original, even though I'm handing it over to my co-writer. And then this is a foil and holochrome trading card, and it
That's like
looks amazing with foil. The colors. Yeah.
that reminds me of like the old days. Like remember when we used to have those flare cards in the
Yep.
'90s?
I don't know if you can see the.
And
It's
then we
all
got to the
shiny.
add-ons. Yeah,
And those are
and
the campaign buttons. So it's the angelic buttons if you want to root for the angel side, or the demon buttons if you want to root for the demon side. Um, and yeah, and then you have the back covers. Back issues, and then you get the button, and then a hat, and there's
it's a,
Apollo. And Apollo comes with, I don't know if you can see this, right next to him. There's it's a suede card, which I didn't even know existed. So it's got this weird fuzzy texture to it. It's really weird. I don't know anything about them. I just know that this was a suede card, and I don't know if you could see it.
yeah, I can see it a little bit.
Yeah. So it's a suede. So the plushie, each plushie comes with the suede card of the cover of Damnation. So
So then we've got let me get back to there. All right. So yeah, we were talking about Nightwolf. So let me bring that one up a little bit so you can kind of talk about that because it is. Um, there we go. Got to stop one screen before you can start another. All right. So there's Nightwolf. Okay. So
that,
yeah,
and he reached
he's
his goal.
he reached his goal. He's funded.
Yeah.
So
But let me tell you
he's
something. He doesn't get a lot of profit from that. All of that goes to art. I mean, his art is just phenomenal, and he pays a ton for it. And you can tell just by this, just all of it is gorgeous.
well,
Yeah.
and this is the key thing. He's doing issues 1 through 7,
Yep.
all at one Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Um, not
And
a
let
lot
me
of
tell you,
people
his
do that.
hardcover, huh?
A
Well,
lot of people don't
he's
do
had
that.
the past ones too. He's just re-releasing them here. But he has,
Okay.
yeah. So this is technically 7, but he has all of them available. And his graphic novels are just like, I think that there's a hardcover one that just looks phenomenal. I'm actually going to ask him to help me order mine because mine's going to be huge. So I'm kind of into the hardcover. But just look at the action sequences and the just the color. I mean, everything about it's just gorgeous.
See, I don't want to look at it too much because I haven't read it yet. I'm old school. I like reading a book.
Yeah,
Um,
I do like having it in my hands. Yeah, I
but
actually
what
have
I've
his
learned,
sticker here. Where is it? Here, you just passed Snowpaw. I have the sticker, the chibi version, and this is the same artist that did my Chibi Anubis. He gave me that name, and I was so glad he did because I loved the artist.
but yeah, I tell you what I've learned though. It's a lot easier to read a PDF on my phone than it
Yep,
is trying to
me
get
too.
every book now. Yeah, and it's funny because like I used to be so hard against digital. I'm like, no, it's got to be printed. Well, now I've learned. Okay, I can get a printed book and just set it aside and have it for the artwork side, and just read the digital, and then that way I don't have to open the book.
Well, with almost I think all my tiers, you get the PDF, and if you buy a print, you get the PDF with it. So everyone gets their options,
See, and I like that. So
and
let's
then you
see.
get my PDFs in there too.
Yep, there we go.
Yep,
Redemption.
here I
Yep.
am.
Roadkill Rampage. Oh yeah, I love that book. See, this is I want to read that Texas horror anthology. I've heard
Me
about
too.
that, just not read it yet.
Yeah, I want to read that too. I want to read all of them.
Yeah, so that's a big thing. You got it back by April 22nd. So by the end of tomorrow, you do not back, then you do not get the extra bundle. It's in
Yeah,
here, and it's 12 books, people. 12 books.
it's a good deal.
All right, let's see now. Now, do you have a cover in this one?
Um, does he have a cover?
Does for Night Wolf? Will like
Oh,
do you ever have like say a crossover kind of thing you thought about with him?
we actually had thought about it. We don't, but we thought about it, so we might actually do that. We have been kind of hashing out a crossover where my characters have to eventually look for the little gems that are in the weapon. They're supposed to have gems, so they're
Hmm,
kind of gonna portal jump into different comics, and one of
okay,
them is Night Wolf. Um,
gotcha.
so it's gonna jump into Night Wolf. It jumps into Path of the Pale Rider. But when she jumps into his, it's into Night Wolf. She's gonna hunt them because she hunts werewolves. So it's gonna start out with them as enemies, and then of course it'll work out. Um, but yeah, and we're gonna have different like Easter eggs in the background, like Machine Gun Mary is gonna be in the background fighting something, and then we're gonna have uh, Demon Hunter Raven will be doing something in the background, one of the issues, and so there'll be a lot of things in the background. So it's kind of like Kingdom Hearts, where it jumps through the kingdoms and then they kind of work with them. So it's kind of like that. And I haven't written it yet, but I've been really thinking it over to definitely do that. And Lori's all for it because my Draven is very very jealous of everything on the planet that looks at Seraphina, and her character's a flirt. So we
Yeah,
already we already decided that he's gonna kiss her hand and get punched by Draven. So now that's what we want to see done. So we're excited. And she thought of it. She was like, "Yeah, that would be perfect." And I was like, "You know my character so well already." So yeah.
it'd be funny to have the zombies, that's in Ninja Bimbos, be the zombies that comes over to your book, because they're idiots, in Ninja
Yeah,
Bimbos.
that's a good idea. I have to do that too. Yeah. I loved crossovers when I was a kid. I just love seeing my favorites just do their thing together, and like Midnight Suns, I remember collecting them, and
Oh yeah,
I have all the number ones from the crossovers, and Morbius and all that. Yeah, I absolutely I love crossovers. So that's a no brainer for me to do crossovers. So
and that
yeah,
was one of my favorite series in the '90s. We had the Spirits of Vengeance and Midnight Massacre, and then
Dark Holder.
in the Dark Hold, you had all those black
Covers.
covers that were the
Yep,
solid black.
I have the
Uh,
salad ones.
I remember reading it. I remember trying to track down those books in the '90s. That was hard to do
See, I
because
had it when it first came out. I didn't have that issue. So as soon as I had them in ever since it well not ever since because I stopped collecting, but issue 7 on they would just save it for me. So I had like the glow in the dark, cover and all that stuff. And yeah, I never had to worry about it. All the comic book stores knew me, and knew my brother, and they would have like I don't know if they must still do that. They have like a box for you, and they keep all your comics that
yeah, they
come.
still do.
Yeah, yeah. I figured you have to kind of do it. But I used to love it. I mean, it was so great going to the comic book store and be like, what came in, what's in, and all that stuff. And I pretty much only read Ghost Rider was my main, and then I had like a couple of here. I like Dick Grayson, so like
Hmm.
I had a couple of Titans here. I had Nightwing here, and blah blah. And then I tried to get into, and I did, and then I think it ended. Um, was it Malibu with Ferret and
Yeah, the
yeah, so
Ultraverse and all
yeah,
that.
so I tried. We thought it would be the next new thing. There was Malibu and Variant. Am I saying it right? I think it was
Valiant.
Valiant. Yeah, and my brother was heavily into Valiant, and I was heavily into Malibu, and his lasted longer. And then he just explained to me what happened, where it went to somebody new, and they screwed it all up, and then they brought it back and fixed it, and then screwed it. I don't know. But he was very into that. I remember the gold covers. It had like gold covers, and
Oh yeah, you had all the Deathmate covers, and there were like 8,000 colors, and
yeah,
I mean, and I loved that part, like when Malibu crossed over with Marvel. When they did the Wolverine and then Ultraman together, kind of stuff, and they had Gen 13 show up with Malibu, and it was like I enjoyed it, but then I found out, oh yeah, Marvel bought out Malibu. So that's why you'll never see the characters ever again.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, oh, that sucks. But like
yeah.
Valiant, I saw Valiant come back with Ninjak and Rye and Bloodshot and everything. I'm like, all right, it's cool to see those back because Those books, I used to sell those books in a comic shop for 25 cents a piece because I had so many of them I couldn't get rid of all the Valiant books.
Wow, yeah. No. Yeah, sometimes I miss collecting comics. I grew up and kind of got away from it, but I always loved. My favorite thing is you had something to look forward to. What was coming out this week, or and seeing everybody in the comic book store. And I was like the only girl there back then, so it was like this big thing when I came in, and so yeah, I do miss those days. So I think it's kind of fun that I'm in making my own now. So and I don't know if I'll ever be released like that, but my local comic book store, holds mine on the shelves for me, so they sell them that way. And I do books. I did a book signing there, and I'm doing a book signing on Free Comic Book Day. So yeah, so I'll be there. It's not my comic that's free, but I'll be there with those. But yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, I can't. I also ordered. I don't know if you ordered. You were around for Nightwolf's the Voodoo
yep,
plushie. I ordered that. I love that thing.
yeah, I
It was
saw
part of
that.
my plushie army. So
Yeah, see, when I was a kid, I didn't have a comic book store. I had whatever was at Walmart or whatever was at the grocery store on the spinner rack, and then you had to pray that you got what you needed.
that sounds depressing, man. What the heck?
It was depressing, but I mean, the only thing you could guarantee you could buy was X-Men, Wolverine, and Superman, and maybe Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, those ones are
Maybe
always there.
Batman. I would think that Batman would be a definite. Yeah, that's sad. Thanks for ruining my day.
Ah,
Just kidding.
well, and that's kind of what made it fun though, because I had to go to all the different stores and try to find it.
That's like a
Yeah,
hunt, man.
it was a fun hunt. And then I found a comic book store. I'm like, and it was like an hour away from my house, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Never been to one before. Before I'm like, this is like, you guys sell books all the time. Yeah, that's all we sell. I'm like, I want to work here.
Yeah, I never worked at a comic book store. I think I was offered, but I think they only offered it so there was a girl working there. But yeah. I used to go to the GameStop a lot when I was into Resident Evil and obsessed with everything Resident Evil until I don't think I played after six. I really haven't played the game since. I know they just came out with four again, and to me it looks exactly the same. So I was watching.
Yeah, I've got the remakes of 2 and 3, and they looked really good because I mean we're talking it's been 20 years, since the originals came out.
Yeah, they
But
should have been redone two like years ago. Like we've been asking for that for freaking years. And I know they redid one. One was not my favorite. It was just a lot of keys. I mean, you never
yeah,
left the mansion, and you kind of just. I mean, I played it, but it was not my favorite, and it was not one that I played all the time. I remember I had to buy a new system every time a new one came out. It drove me crazy. Like I had to buy GameCube for zero,
0. Yeah.
and what was that guy's name? I
Oh, the Billy.
Billy. I really he was a good looking guy. Billy, and then I and a lot of people didn't play Code Veronica. Veronica. I was just talking to people like everyone knows all the other games are like no, we never played Code Veronica, and I was like really. Though Steve was pretty annoying. But I mean it's Claire. I played everything with Claire because I role played her and I loved her and I always wanted her to get with Leon and it always drove me crazy when they didn't and
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you watch the CGI movies,
Yeah.
and they were gonna go on a date, and then Leon screwed it up, and I was really pissed. I was like, so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to role play because I wanted to find myself a Leon to write with. And
hmm
let me tell you something: in 15 years, I never found a good Leon that lasted more than 3 replies. Like they never stuck around. I don't know why. So she always wound up with the Dean, Dean
Oh,
Winchester, almost always, because all the Deans loved my Claire, and I think I dated like, well, my character dated like 5 of them, and one for like a year or something. So that's just very rare in RP. So, but then again, I guess my character dated for like almost 3 years. She's still going strong. We still write. We write chapters like at least a couple of times a week, and I just finished up my Zombie Island reply for the spinoff. They got attacked by zombie zoo animals, a zombie snake, and a snow leopard, a polar bear, an elephant, which I know is from Outbreak, but I never played Outbreak. But we had to. Oh, and a gorilla. There's a zombie gorilla in there. So
Yeah, I played them all and Revelations and all the outbreaks. I even tried to play the shooter game, and that was so bad. I was like, no, I took the game back because the gun wouldn't work half the time, and you're supposed to be shooting everything. I'm like, okay, this isn't the House of the Dead.
I remember when you could bring it back. And I remember when it failed. It was, I think it was it early 2000s? Some Karen, not to use the Karen name, but some, mom or whatever, came back and she found out that you can return the game. I think you had 5 days to return the game.
Yep.
She started yelling that it was a used game. And so they revoked it, and you can no longer return a game. And I was so upset. And I don't know if that was worldwide or just our town, but the GameStops would not take back any more games after that. It was just because this one chick just yelling about it. And I was like, you got to be kidding me! Like, don't buy it then if you don't like it, or buy it
Exactly.
used. Like, I don't.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like I can count on my hands how many times I actually buy a brand new game.
Yeah,
I wait for the game to go on sale because usually I'm playing Mass Effect right now, the trilogy.
yeah.
It's going to take me all year to finish that game.
I bought Resident Evils. I pre-ordered all of them when I was a teen. And I remember. So obviously the nerds at the store loved me. So I got like some perks. And one of them was I could take home Resident Evil 4 demo before it wasn't released to the public. So I took it home and I was playing it, and I was happily snipering from the window in the village, and all of a sudden I got killed from behind by the chainsaw, and I screamed so loud because I had the dresser up, so I didn't realize he got in, and I screamed so loud that my boyfriend at the time ran down and was like, what happened? I was like, I got killed by a chainsaw. Like, it was just like the stupidest thing, but I've never screamed that loud ever, and I was just happily snipering, and yeah, it surprised me. Usually the only ones I screamed at were not really screamed at, but the ones I jumped were Silent Hill. It
Yeah,
would get me to jump. And then I think one of the Silent Hills I hated, 3, I think, because you'd be walking down a hallway and all of a sudden the camera would shift and you're looking at yourself and you don't see anything in front. It drove me crazy so much. And I think I don't know if I beat it. I might have, but it was disgruntled if I beat it. But I was so mad. How does the camera angle changes when I'm walking forward? And I'm
yeah.
like, I can't see where I'm going. That makes no sense. So
That happened with me with Silent Hill, the room. I got so tired of going in and out of that damn door
I
and
don't
out
think
of
I
that
played that.
hole, and
Yeah.
I'm like, this is getting ridiculous. And it had nothing to do with the actual core story either of Silent Hill. I
Yeah.
think that's probably what kind of got me. If it would have been about the girl or been about the soul or something like that, it would have made more sense. But I'm like, come
Yeah.
on.
I hated it when it wasn't like the original. To me, Resident Evil, that's why Outbreak to me didn't count. But I mean, obviously it does. But if it didn't have Chris or Leon or Claire or Jill, that I didn't consider them like original. Like those were the
Hmm.
first two, and they kind of continued on. But yeah, my story is very how did I describe it? Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets Supernatural and Silent Hill and the Resident Evil world. So like all those elements are just like in this one story. So if anyone likes those, and I don't know if you know this, and I don't even know, I think it is in there somewhere. There's an Easter egg in every issue from either a horror game, urban legend, or a horror movie. Um, and every book has at least one. And when the graphic novel comes out, the first person to post all of them wins one of the prizes that we have. Um, so I'm not sure what the prize is, probably a pillow or something really cool. Um, but yeah, I finding the Easter eggs and putting them in there without like licensing or copywriting issue is like very, very exhausting to be like, how different does this have to be? And how different will it be that they can figure out where it's from and all that stuff. So yeah, so we'll see how
Uh,
that goes.
that
So.
that'll be fun. I love tearing apart books for things like that.
Well, we have a little things in the background. Like I said, the TV is unplugged. And there's a couple of things in the background that people may or may not get. Probably if you see it, if you read it over again, like in issue 1, they're talking under the moon, like this gorgeous moon, and you would literally have to zoom in to see it. But in the very, 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 very background is you could see a whole cloud of ghosts coming, and then they're in the next page because they got closer. So not a lot of people will see that. And of course, the gate was opened, and you have to climb to the gate and all that stuff. So, and then there's a zombie merman in the end of issue 1 and issue 2, which everyone was surprised that there was a zombie merman. I love him. I have the plushie here. He'll probably be in the next one. I just had so much merch in this one that I couldn't. Hi.
Hey,
I had so much merch that I had to keep some of it. Like this is my skeleton bird from issue 3. I also have statues of them. Yeah, yes, zombie merman. Yeah, he's got little suckers on his little tentacles and his little claws. And there's a statue of each of them too. I'm really hoping the bird doesn't sell because I love the bird. I mean, it's on like this little stand and it looks like it's flying, and he did such a phenomenal job. And I also like the zombie merman, but just they're both gorgeous, but it's just something about the bird's wings and just I don't know. So if you don't see it for sale, that would be why.
Oh yeah, yeah. So definitely. Well, and so you guys actually have a website too. I'm going to put a link in here for you guys. So outside of Kickstarter, if you don't buy it through Kickstarter, you can actually buy it from their website as well. We're the chaoscomics.com out there.
Yeah, we have the PDFs for the download there. We have the printed version, and we have the stickers and the buttons, and we have the song download. We have a song that was written, performed, and sung just for our characters. It's also an add-on in this one. I don't know if you saw it, but for $5 you get the vocal and the instrumental version, and it's pretty good size. I think it's like 3 minutes something. And the lyrics, you scroll through, the lyrics are there on the Kickstarter, and it's actually a really good song. The music is on the video, the intro video, but it's sped up more in the video to give you kind of a heart attack and to make the video a little shorter. But yeah, every time I listen to it, like it's so much more upbeat that it kind of like makes me jump. But I guess that's the point. You wanted to make a jump, so.
What you need is like one of those Silent Hill kind of cues in the song, like you're waiting around and it just jumps at you,
I did fan videos. I have 4 of them, and they have subtitles and everything, and it's clips from the actors that we use while role playing. So I can't show anybody but me and my co-writer, and they're all subtitled. And I actually did an amazing job, and it sucks that I can't show them off. But in one of the scenes, it's the Silent Hill siren going off, and all the walls start melting, and the characters are looking up, and it actually looks like it. I'll show you. You can see them.
Yeah, you can show them to me. I'll watch them.
They're actually really good. There's a Resident Evil version. There's the where they met and all that version. There's actually a flashback version of them as teenagers. It flashes back, and I had the 2 actors that I got clips from when they were young. It's really, really good. But if you watch it, you could see like their expressions match everything the subtitles would say. So it's such a waste that I can't show it. Maybe if I'm popular enough someday, the actors will let me show it. I'm proud of most of it. The first 2 videos, I think they're like 20 minutes long. And then you have the Resident Evil version, because we have 2 characters they're not Leon and Claire, because I would never do the things I do to poor Ryan in book 3 that I do to Leon. But they're kind of like them. He's like a military police, and she's a secretary in it, I think. And mostly he's there because he makes Draven jealous, and we get to punch him. But I just realized while I was scripting how much harder it is, because now I have 4 main characters. So like I have to I'm like, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And I haven't told my artist yet, so I hope he's not going to kill me for having now 4 characters on at all the time. So that'll be interesting.
You can always kill them off and then just be back to 2.
I can't, because they're all the way till they're all of issue 3, and then they're in 4. So they're in half of 4, So yeah, they're in it quite a bit. Mostly their comic reliefs kind of a little bit. But also, like I said, they can banter, and Ryan causes most of the bad things to happen. And Melissa's nice. And the spinoff, Ryan actually, it's so funny. So the spinoff, so in this one, like you said, you read one.
Yeah.
So in one, now the prequel shows you what happens right before that point.
Okay.
So they were supposed to run away together, and that's why he's not there. And the father shot at them, and he had to leave, and he went to go get a gun to come back. So while he's gone, the brother gets possessed by the demon and decides to kill the parents, and he attacks her.
Hmm.
She jumps out the window. He comes in, gets arrested for the murder, and then they're separated for 10 years. And if you kind of catch what he says when he wakes up, he says, "Why do these dreams start again? Is it because I just moved here?" And so what happened was when he moved closer, their souls being so close together set off the alert because they had been apart for 10 years.
Yeah.
So the difference on the spinoff is it's kind of a what if, because I loved what if series. Like I love
Oh
seeing what
yeah.
if. I have the what if Barbara Ketch was the ghostwriter.
Yeah.
So this is one little thing changes. So the prequel leads up to this one part where in the redemption, the brother takes the backpack, which has the gun in it. So Draven has to leave. But in the other version, the brother doesn't get the backpack. And so Draven uses the gun to fend off the father, and they actually run away. So now in the spinoff, you have these two teenagers that are still running from all the same stuff, but now she's not trained as an assassin, and he's not trained as an assassin, and she's not trained as a supernatural hunter. So you have these two inexperienced teens that now have to deal with this. And you could see the difference in Seraphina, because Seraphina is a badass in Redemption. She like can
Mm.
fight, and she's a supernatural hunter, and she's very skilled. But in the other one, she's a scared teenager that has to eventually come into terms. They get their powers sooner because they're together longer. So you have these whole different elements of them as teenagers, and they get their powers and they have to figure it out. And then she has to grow from this terrified blonde that hides behind Raven to actually like fighting and all this stuff. So it's a very cool series, and I didn't think it would go as long as it did, but we just got so into it, and suddenly we had five books. We started it, I think, a year ago. So in about a year, we're in the middle of finishing book 5 now. And we already wrote the ending. We like to write the ending first.
Mhm.
You have to make sure it ends well. So I'm hoping someday to release both the Damnation prequel and Salvation, the spinoff. I think they'll be a lot of fun, but we'll have to survive this one first and see how far we get. It took like 5 years to get 40 issues out. We'll see.
Well, and the good thing about having the prequel is you already know how it ties into the main story.
Yeah.
So, and you know how the spinoff's going to be because it's going to come out of the book. So, it makes it a little bit easier than just trying to create, say, volume 3 straight from Redemption.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it does help that it's all written out. Well, series 1 is written out. Series 2 we started. I think we're 3 issues in to Redemption series 2. And we're like 1 issue into the spin. We jump around when we get an idea. So we have like, well, especially Redemption, when we wrote it, we'd get an idea, we had a dream, like, oh, we have to do this, and we would like literally go and write it out first and do this whole sequence, and then we just connect them later. So you had to find a way to connect them, which just made it more interesting when you were doing it. So it worked out pretty good. But that's how we got so much written. We would just get so excited about something, we'd have to go write it.
And see, it's nice is that you've got all these books created and ready to go,
Yeah.
and now it's really going to be the fun part of getting the artists to continue to keep doing the art for an amount of time. And there's a lot of books today, even in Dynamite, Coffin, Image, and two. A lot of them don't go past 10 issues or 12 issues today. So to go 40 issues with the same artist, that's going to be phenomenal because you just don't see it hardly anymore.
Yeah, actually, when I first started this, making the comic book, I had reached out to like 2 small time publishers, and they would not even look at my proposal because it was more than 3 issues. They're like, we don't even read them. And I was like, okay. And they're like, well, it's not financially feasible because no one reads. It was 50% or 65% read two, and then like 40% read three. And I was like, well, then you don't have a good story. Like, I mean,
Exactly.
you got to have a good story. They have to be invested in it. I was like, I would hate 3 issues. I know some people like single issues, but I want to get in love with the character. I mean, when I watch a Netflix series, I want it to go on. Like, I don't want to watch one that's 3 issues or 3 episodes. I want to watch like a nice 5 season, or Supernatural. It's 15.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I want to see more of the characters. The more I see, the better. So I don't know. We'll see how many people stick around, but it's a great story. And two actually is way better than I remember. It's got a lot of action in it, and I don't know. I feel bad. I feel guilty that I did not remember how good it was because I was so obsessed with getting to issue three, to book three, that I forgot everything that happened in book two. But book two we have a version of liquors from Resident
Hmm.
Evil. They're like giant salamanders that like have daggers on their tails and stuff. And we have zombies. They're trapped in an asylum, and there's ghosts in there and everything. And it's pretty nonstop action. And writing the script, I was like, wow, I forgot all of this. I was just so obsessed with three, I forgot all of it. So it was actually really exciting. Now I can't wait to see it drawn out. Doing the scripts makes it feel more like realistic that I get to see it. Like I'm only on issue 16, but um, I'm getting there. It takes me like, depending on my mood, I can usually finish it in a day or 3 days to convert it because everything's already written. I just have to convert things and move things around and organize. So
And
yeah,
that's actually, I would think, the hardest part is the language and the dialogue, because of that is that you already have what it should say, but now you're trying to fit it into a little bubble or fit it into a box to say
yeah.
this is what it is.
Issue four, I think I kept going over it and over it and reading it over and over again. I changed four, like I kept cutting out things, and I'm just like, oh, he kind of says the same thing, and she kind of said the same thing, and he doesn't really need to think this, and so I was trying to like streamline it, or cut the fat out or whatever. Um, which sometimes sucks because you're like, oh, I really like that line, but like I don't need it, like it doesn't have to use it. So yeah, cutting the dialogue is the hardest part. And also like going back and forth, like how big is this bubble going to be, and is it too many back and forths in one panel? I try not to go more than twice to two of them. And so yeah, dialogue I would say is the biggest challenge of the entire thing. So
Well, one thing I've been seeing a lot of people do now is they do a black and white issue with no dialogue, and it's just letting the art speak for what it is, and that's sometimes hard, especially like, say, like for me, I've never read issue one. I come into it and you give me a black and white issue, and then now I've got to look at it and figure out what's going on. But like, this makes no sense whatsoever.
I
um,
actually did that for, is it Globally? Is that how you say it? Globally? I
mm,
had issue one of the prequel and issue one of Redemption, the old version without words. And I said it in the title. I said it's unlettered. It got like 1,000 views. People just wanted to see, what it was. So they got to see the art. But mostly I was like, so you come and buy it. Because if you have all the, I don't understand how Globally works that much. Because I'm like, if they read it there, why would they go buy it? But now I have issue one with words there, since I'm like, well, I'm on issue four. So if they want to see it, they can see that. I've been handing issue one out to a lot of people if they want to read it to get the taste of it. So
well, like for me, I'd like to see what issue one looked like before the one I got, to see like the stylistic. Cause I'm an art nut, so
yeah,
I'm like, just to see what the art looks like, or like how the writing, if there's differences in writing between both sides, and I've seen that like too, where they're calling it a remastered book, because it's a new version of the original book. It's just it's been years. Like my buddy Adam Fields is doing that with Prowl right now. Is that he did it 10 years ago when he originally brought it out, but he's got a lot better as an artist and as a writer. So now he's going to redo number one.
sure.
So I enjoy that go
I
back.
actually, I actually do. I have them somewhere. I actually have, and if I ever become famous, though, maybe we worth money. I do have a few original issue ones if you wanted to read it, or I have the PDF. But I bought 50 and I sold like 30. Bless you. My husband sneezed. So I have like 20 left. So if you want one,
I
I can get
definitely
you
do.
one. All
Yep.
right. Yeah, it's not bad art. And I people like the style. It's just so contrasted. It's more cartoony, I think, which was nice in itself. But if you look at page one and two, 1, 2, and 3, there's a huge difference of the rest. It's the same artist, but that artist inked and colored it, whereas the rest he didn't. Like I paid him for a whole book and a half, and I only got 3 pages done, and then the rest were penciled.
Mm.
So I had to pay someone to do an inker, then I had to pay someone to color, and then I had to pay for a letter. So it was the whole thing. But if you look at page two, it's one of my favorites is page two, and it's actually a little bit more graphic. I think it's not as bloody as the page two that we have, but it's definitely more guts. There's more guts in it. So I like page two from the original personally. But
Hey, I'm a huge Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan, so more guts than
yeah, and you'll like it. It's good stuff. Yeah.
but. Well, we've been out here for about an hour and a half already. I told you it goes by fast.
It does.
So, so where can people find you at, Carissa? So that way, that if they want to buy books, if they want to reach out to you, where can they find you at?
So I am the most active in on Twitter, which is at worthy underscore chaos dot yeah, at worthy under slash chaos, or I'm pretty sure you can just search worthy chaos and we pop up. I am also very active on Facebook. Now I do have a worthy chaos page, which people are welcome um, to to join. But you can just add me at Carissa Grant. I pretty much will talk to anybody. Like as long as you have like comic book related or something. I love to talk to people about my comic book, obviously. And if people need help in their comic books, I'm very supportive of all other indie comics. I love supporting other indies. I had someone today asking me all these questions because they want to make their own comic, and I was telling them you got to do this, and I would do this, and all this. And I've helped people do Kickstarter's page. So if anyone's interested in it, definitely you can look me up. Um, Now, if you want to find me on Kickstarter and you forget the link, the easiest thing is to search Worthy Chaos because we are the only thing that pops up. Um, so search Worthy Chaos on Kickstarter. And then I'm on all the platforms and you can reach me on all the platforms, but I got to be honest, I don't like any of the other platforms. Like I tried Instagram and I didn't like it. It was hard to search or add people. And everyone else loves it but me. And I only made one because I was at a Comic-Con and every single artist had Instagram and none of them had Twitter. Like none of them. So I made an Instagram. Uh TikTok, I have like 1,000 followers and 1,000 likes, and I don't know. People like the videos, but it never really went anywhere. So yeah, I'm on there. But if you want to really talk to me, it's Twitter or Facebook is the best way. Yeah. So.
I appreciate it. And everybody, I'm going to put the link in here for the Kickstarter. So definitely go and, you got all 4 issues of Redemption 4s out there. So definitely go back and join it. I joined up with it and I went and got all the back issues because I'm a nut like that and I like reading everything. But it's been a pleasure being with you tonight. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for
Thank you for
having
reaching
me.
out to me. I always have fun with everybody that comes on here, writers, artists, letterers. To me, everybody's part of the book and everybody has a role to play.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you. So thank you for
Yeah.
coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun.
And thank you everybody in YouTube land. I appreciate all y'all coming. Um, Unboxing Art and Dawn, thank you for coming by. And anybody that came in and left, and whoever watches us down the road, thank you guys for being here. So this has been your Redneck from Texas, Nate, and this has been Miss Carissa Grant from Worthy Cons. And thank you guys, and have a good night. All right.
Thanks.